nonsense, the center, with your host, DC Radical One.
Greetings, Black family, and welcome to On the Wake Up Radio. Excuse me. I am your host, DC Radical One, and you have entered the center. And shout out to our wonderful producer, Cindy Ashby. You can check us out on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and iHeartRadio at On the Wake Up Radio. So, let's see. BB48, straight black pride to brother Elijah. Peace to Nubian Patah. BB48 to brother You Got Ripped Off. BB48 to I Allen. BB48, straight black pride to Sister Fonessa. And greetings to Sister Teresha. How is everyone today? Today, we have an interesting topic. And brother, You Got Ripped Off. Do not let me forget to stop about halfway through to do some announcements. As the people come in, BB4, Straight Black Pride, brother Kevin. You know what? Let me do this. Before we even get started, we have a sponsor for today's show. Between 90 minutes and 2 hours, no more than 2 hours. That's the plan. And so let's get our sponsor out the way. Not get them out the way, but let's thank our sponsor for sponsoring the show. So, our sponsor for today's show is Kyron Essentials, seller of high quality black owned and manufactured products, including Ola Yinka vitamins. Now, Kyron Essentials has a vast array of products, and I highly suggest that if you can, you support them and get your vitamins for this cold and flu season, because things like vitamin D and zinc are essential to good health. And as you all know, I was sick recently because I had not been taking any vitamin D or zinc. So don't be like I was. Take care of your health and be sure to check out Kyron Essentials. The link is in the description of the video. We thank them for sponsoring this show. Now, today's topic, and I believe that I put it up correctly. What can the black man learn from the Johnathan Majors case? And, at first, I was just going to do a short video reaction. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Wait. Before I get into this, BB48, straight black pride to Sister Nina. Before I get into this, let me remind you all, music. Yeah, I did music in a minute. I released a video earlier today. I released a 10-minute video yesterday. And then and there's a video tomorrow night that's going to air at 8 p.m. So be sure to check out those videos as well as you're checking, that you're doing whatever you're doing tomorrow and later in the week. And I'll probably give you all one more video after that because I owe a sister a video that she asked me a question on Instagram. And so I'm going to do a video for her. That's going to be an Ask DC segment. And sister Nubian Patah. No, who was it? Not Nubian Patah. Let me go back. Sister Taylor Nubia. She asked about Christian Keys allegations. If anybody knows who Christian Keys is, I guess I have to look it up. I don't know who that is. I don't know the allegations. I don't know anything about what she's asking me. So if anybody knows what she's talking about, y'all can let me know that. And then I'll be able to ask her a question. So, peace to brother Derek Witherspoon. All right. So about 45 minutes to an hour, brother, you got ripped off. Remind me, because I got to do some fundraising. So I'm going to present y'all with a deal, and y'all let me know whether or not y'all accept the deal or not, and we can go from there. Because 2024 is going to be a little bit different. So now, to the music, and we shall begin. And we're going to do some. Wait a minute, hold up. We're doing some different music for a reason. Let me make sure that I actually can do the music. I'm not, because my headphones are loud, so everything sounds loud to me. And y'all let me know what y'all think about the music. All right. So y'all let me know, and then we can get started. So, Johnathan Majors case. When it first started, I didn't really pay attention. And then when the verdict, it was getting close to the verdict, and they didn't decide the first day, I said, okay, maybe I'll pay attention. Then I started to pay attention. I saw some stuff. I'm like, oh, yo, this is wild. I said, okay, this is interesting because there's a lot of dynamics at play. And so I said, all right, should I just do a quick video on it? Because everyone's going to be talking about it. And so that's what I was going to do. And I put a poll up here on YouTube and on Instagram. And I forgot to check the YouTube poll, but at the time, making a short video was winning, like hands down. But on Instagram, at first, ignore it was winning. Then suddenly, you need to do a live stream about it was winning. And it kind of just barely won. But I had went to sleep, and I woke up and I said, there's too many lessons in this. I have to talk about it. And here's why. Because this is what happens. As Black people who are pro-Black or African nationalists or straight Black pride or whatever we may be, if you're listening here, that is some form of your ideology or philosophy, right? Your thought is, here's a Negro who was with a Euro and he paid the price. Duh. And then brother, he made a great point. He's like, well, okay, we know from history, how they are and this and this and that and so forth, so on. And I agreed with him. I'm like, no, brother, you're correct. But our people don't study history. But you know what our people do? Our people pay attention to celebrities. So I remember Malcolm X a long time ago saying, you want to speak to the people in a language that everyone can understand. At the time that he said it, he was talking about us speaking the language of the European that they were speaking in the 60s. Right? But the principle applies to our people. What do our people speak. Because this is what happens. You get in the movement, and you get around people that you can relate to, and people that understand you. Of course, that's natural, and you build a tribe. But you also isolate yourself from the people, right? No one isolates themselves more from people than I do. so I know how this works. You know what I'm saying? No one doesn't socialize with people more than I do. So I know how this works. But what happens? You get to the point where you can no longer relate to the people. And then what happens is you are no longer able to, you lose the capacity to communicate with your people in a way that you can even teach them or make them intrigued about what you know, right? So if you disconnect yourself too far from the world, you're no longer effective at doing what I was taught was my job when I was 16, 17 years old, whatever it was, when I first got the lessons, which the duty of a civilized man is to teach civilization. You can't teach if you don't speak the language. So even though, because I can't get all the way into all the pop culture and all those things, because I just can't. I don't have the time. I don't know what's going on. I don't want to know what's going on. For example, the NBA. I don't watch the NBA. I'm not interested in the NBA. The local team has stunk almost as long as I've been alive, right? I'm not interested. The people that I know in the NBA, they're old now. Like LeBron's 40 or however old he is. He's over 40, I guess. I can't, brothers if I go in a barbershop and brothers in the barbershop talking about the NBA, I got nothing. Okay. If they talk about the NFL, we got something. If they talk about hockey, I ain't got nothing. You see how this works? If they talk about Marvel movies up to Endgame, I can have a discussion. They talking about I don't know, whatever else is going on. Like if they talk about reality shows or whatever, or 90% of the music that's out, I have nothing. But my point being is we can't isolate ourselves so far that we can't communicate with our people. And also, when something major happens that we know our people are going to talk about, we at least need to pay attention to see what's going on and see why they're talking about it, right? So that's why I decided, you know what? I'll do a live stream and I'll just go from there as I try to figure out what happened to my music. So first of all, y'all tell me whether or not y'all like that music. Well, I try to figure out why it's not playing. Okay. All right, there we go. But that song is playing for a reason, as opposed to my normal music, which we'll get to later. Now, that's how I decided to do this live stream. So that's why we're here. So if you were one of those people that voted for me not to do it, but you still came to listen to the show, I appreciate you. You're one of those people that's like, man, I'm not going to listen to this dude talk about this Negro stuff. He must be a Negro to talk about Negro stuff. Then hey, you can watch some of the other videos that we have this week. Consider this week my Kwanzaa gift to you all. I'm giving you all about 6 pieces of content this week. Then I'm going to celebrate Kwanzaa, and we're going to go into the new year, and we're going to try to do. We're going to see where it goes from there. Also, I have an announcement, unfortunate announcement. At this time, it does not appear that I will be doing the Dr. Chancellor Williams lecture. I was not able to secure the facility. And I didn't have enough lead-in time to promote. So that's just not going to happen this year. You have my apologies. It was something I didn't have control over as far as facilities. Some we had to work on. But we will be meeting and having the memorial at the gravesite, which is 4001. Well, first Lincoln Memorial Cemetery, first of all, 4001 Suitland Road, Suitland, Maryland. And you can actually look it up on the internet, where the exact gravesite is. I believe it's section O, but I can't remember the lot number. So we're going to do that this Saturday, and we'll be more than likely I'll either record it or live stream it, or both. And I have live streamed it before on Instagram, but I have not. I don't think I've ever posted it on the channel. So I don't know. Depending on how it looks and how it works and everything, how cold it is, I might post it on the channel. Okay. Now that we got all the announcements out the way, let's get to this story. Now, first of all, show me a 1 in the chat if you have actually, you know who Johnathan Majors is and you've heard of this story. BB48 to Raw Itel Vital. And because I want to see how much into this I need to get into. Okay, you got ripped off. I should know. Elijah. Okay, look like we got, all right, look like more than a handful of people. All right, cool. So here's the thing. I did a little background into him. And it looked like he was born in like the suburbs of California. And the reason I did that is because looking at him and his mannerisms and how he interacts with people, if I had to guess, I could be completely wrong, because he is an actor. He looks like a guy who didn't grow up around black people. And so there's certain experiences that you get when you grow up around black people that you don't when you don't. I mean, and he was born on the West Coast, like the suburbs of the West Coast, like not in like, not like Compton and nothing like that. So if that's where he grew up, then I can understand that. And he graduated from, was it Columbia or Yale? Like one of those schools. So that speaks for itself. So what I could gather from him is more than likely he's a highly intelligent brother, but somewhat racially naive. Sister Vanessa said, yeah, okay, thank you. And here's what we don't take into account, especially if you're older like me. We make the assumption, because he's, I think, 32, 34, something like that. So he's like the generation behind me. He's like my brother's age. We don't realize like how integrated the next generation grew up. Like I went to an integrated high school, but we weren't really socially integrated. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, there were white people there. There were Mexicans and some Asians and so forth, so on there, and black people. But we weren't integrated. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't think there were like, I have to think about it. Yeah, I don't really think there was any black and white mixed couples in the whole high school, the whole time I was there. So that's what I mean by like integrated but not integrated. Now, I guarantee you, somebody 10 years after me, it's a totally different environment in the same school, right? So we forget how integrated the world gets. So for us to see certain things, it's like, we already know, but hey man, don't do that. Hey, don't mess with them. Don't get involved in that. You see what I'm saying? But they don't have that experience. And if nobody tells them, hey, don't do that, Y'all remember that Dave Chappelle skit where he used to play the old man? He would pop up. I think it was Dave Chappelle, and he would pop up out of nowhere and be like, "Don't do that. You'll get 5 to 10." You see what I'm saying? Some of these people don't have that experience, so we have to keep that in mind. So the same way, like if you ever known anybody who was an athlete, high level athlete, like college athlete, or he make it to the pro level, their experiences and the way they're sheltered and the way they're treated and the way that they're recruited and what they use to recruit them and things like that is a totally different experience. And if no one lets them know, they don't have a clue. So it's our job, again, duty of the civilized man is to what? Teach. So there's going to be somebody that may come across, maybe some young brother comes across this, and maybe he clicks on it, and maybe he finds it interesting, and maybe he'll learn something tonight, and maybe he'll make a different choice. So one of the things we're going to talk about after we go through the case, we're going to talk about other things that the case points to, like, of course, the racial element speaks for itself. But one of the things we're going to talk about for black men is mate selection. I've been meaning to do a show on mate selection for probably 2 years. I've never done it. I'll probably do a separate show on mate selection sometime in 2024. But I'm going to touch on that tonight because what I'm learning is this discussion isn't being had amongst men, which I don't know how, other than on the internet. And the way it's being had on the internet, basically, the men just disqualify all women. You know what I'm saying? So that doesn't help anyone. Doesn't help the men, doesn't help the women. All right. So now that I set the scene and everything, let's get into these articles. So I don't know who this person is on the screen, but anyway, this is from the Hollywood Reporter. It says Johnathan Majors found guilty of assault/harassment. The verdict was reached Monday by a 6-person jury after over 4 hours of deliberation spread across 3 days. The actor is set to be sentenced on February 6th. Says a New York jury found Marvel actor Johnathan Majors guilty of reckless assault in the 3rd degree and guilty of harassment. The verdict was reached by a 6-person jury after roughly over 4 hours of deliberation spread across 3 days. Majors, wearing a gray suit and black dress shirt and tie, stood with his attorneys as the verdict was read, with family members and his now girlfriend, Megan Good, behind him. Since sentencing is set for February 6th, the charges a misdemeanor and a violation. Listen to what I just said. The charges a misdemeanor and a violation, which means a violation is even less than a misdemeanor. So we're not even talking about felony charges, and yet this is all over the news, and so I'm covering it. Carry a sentence of up to a year in prison. On 2 other charges, he was found not guilty of intentional assault in the 3rd degree and not guilty of aggravated harassment in the 2nd degree. In a statement after the verdict, the actor's attorney, Priya Chaudhry, said Majors looks forward to fully clearing his name, implying he may appeal. She continued, Mr. Majors is grateful to God, his family, his friends, and his fans for their love and support during these harrowing 8 months. Shortly after the verdict was read, Marvel Studios dropped the actor as Kang the Conqueror from its upcoming Marvel Cinematic Universe films. In total, Majors faced 4 charges of assault, aggravated harassment, and harassment after he called let's stop right here. No, let's read this part. after he called 911 on March 25th. Let's just take a pause for a minute and let's just think about what I just said. He calls 911 and ends up getting arrested for assault. Now, I don't know. I mean, he was born in California. I don't know if he grew up in California. But I'm going to just say this for those who don't know. While Mississippi may be the most racist place on earth, Mississippi, the most racist place on earth. There's a place more racist than, if there's a place more racist than Mississippi, it's probably like Saudi Arabia. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not here. It's not in America. With that being said, if we're talking about most racist police departments in America, NYPD and LAPD are racing neck and neck. NYPD police, if you don't get a black policeman, they are so racist, you can feel the racism leaking off of NYPD police. They literally look at you like, N-word, please get away from me. Right? Like, don't ask them for no directions. Don't ask them for no instructions. Don't ask them for nothing, man. Like, the energy they give off is like super duper ridiculously racist. So unless someone is dead or you're being shot at and you ran out of ammo, I would not suggest calling the NYPD. That's all I'm saying, right? I'm not from New York, and I know this. So I'm just saying. LAPD, remember they had the whole Ramparts investigation. I mean, they're super ridiculously racist. NYPD killed Sean Bell for no reason. And Amadou, didn't they kill Amadou? No. They sodomized Amadou Diallo and shot the other brother. Anyway, they've done so much racist stuff, I've forgotten. I'm getting people mixed up. So apparently he thought either one of two things. He thought, one, they're not super duper racist, or two, I'm Johnathan Majors. I hate to inform him, and I guess now he knows. You weren't really a big star when this stuff happened. You're on your way to becoming a big star. But you are just big black Negro, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to get it through our sons' heads that if you are big and built and in shape and black, all these people see is big black Negro. I don't care how much money you got. I don't care how much accolades you got. I don't care how much notoriety you have. You are big black Negro. And any interaction with the police can lead to you leaving the planet. Right? Maybe everybody didn't get the memo. You got the memo now. Right. Let's get back to the article. Says when he found his ex-partner, Grace Jabari, unconscious in their apartment. Now let's stop right there. She had went home after whatever happened in the car. He went to stay at a hotel. He couldn't get into the door. So he calls a doorman or whatever to get into his apartment, because it's his apartment. And then he thinks something might be wrong with her. So he calls the police and ends up getting arrested. Right, here we go. All right. Now, when he said he found his ex-partner Grace Jabari unconscious in their apartment. Police arrested Majors after finding apparent injuries on Jabari, including a laceration behind her ear and a bruised and fractured finger. Majors pled not guilty to all charges. Jabari, who took the witness stand for the first 4 days of the trial, said Majors had caused the injuries during an altercation in the car several hours before. She testified that the alleged incident occurred in a private car when she saw a text on Majors' phone that read, "Oh, how I wish to be kissing you." Jabari has said she tried to snatch the phone from Majors, who then pried her finger from the phone, grabbed her arm and right hand, twisted her forearm, and struck her in the head to get the phone away from her. The first 3 charges are misdemeanor offenses and related to alleged incidents in the car. The 4th charge of harassment, which is a violation, the most minor amongst the charges, relates to an allegation that Majors threw Jabari back into the car as she tried to exit. The defense argued that he placed her in the car to stop her from running into traffic. That action is captured on surveillance video, while the altercation in the car was not captured on camera. All right, so that sets up the situation of where we are. So okay. I was getting ready to say, y'all can still hear me, right? Because I see a sister saying that that something happened to her. Y'all can hear me. Put a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me. So the sister saying she can't, something happened. Like, I don't know, video skipped or what. But anyway, okay, cool. So anyway, that is the basic crux of the case. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch the video. We're going to watch, do I have that video? I don't have that video loaded up. All right. Well, what we're going to do, we're going to watch a discussion of the case and the verdict. And I believe they have the video in that. And then we're just going to talk about what we see. Because I'm not going to lie, I found it hilarious, to be completely honest. So, give me a second with that. Pause our lovely music and load up this video.
Journalist and defense attorney, Mr. Brian Buckmeyer. Always a pleasure to have you here, Brian. Obviously, a mixed verdict here from the jury. It sounds like in the end that they believed that Johnathan Majors assaulted Grace Jabari, but didn't do so necessarily intentionally.
Absolutely. So he was charged with 2 misdemeanor assaults, aggravated harassment, and then just ordinary harassment. The difference between the assaults, one was intentional, one was reckless. He was acquitted of the intentional assault, found guilty of the reckless assault, acquitted of aggravated harassment, but found guilty of the harassment. So to your point, the intent didn't seem to be there.
You were in the court. You saw the video. Many of us have observed it as well. It sounds like this was key evidence as far as the altercation that happened outside of the vehicle. How did you interpret it, and how do you think the jury saw this video?
For me, when I looked at the video, I interpreted as we understood there was some confusion as to what happened inside, or some debate, sorry. And then we see Johnathan Majors getting out, Grace Jabari pulling him back in. I interpreted as, I am taking this woman who is trying to grab at me, putting her back in the vehicle, and I'm running away. I do not want anything to do with this altercation or this incident. But I think the way the jury interpreted this was that putting her back in, that forcing her back into the vehicle, might have been the recklessness that might have caused the injury to the back of the ear, or some other form of injury.
Yeah, because it seemed like he was running away, she was chasing after him.
Yeah, and that's where the confusion comes. If you are the victim in this case, why are you chasing your abuser for 5-6 blocks?
Johnathan Majors did not testify in his own defense. That's common, really. But in the end, do you think that helped or hurt him?
I think at the time it made the most sense because we see this split verdict. So clearly the jury was split in terms of what happened here. There was so much about the toxicity of this relationship that I think if Johnathan Majors did testify, he would have been bogged down in trying to explain all of that, only to come to this incident and testify that I only tried to take my cell phone back. I didn't try to injure her for the intent of injuring her, but to get my property back. But that necessarily wasn't the argument the defense was making. The defense was making that this was about white lies and race and about a woman scorn trying to destroy his career. So I think ultimately, probably the smart move not to testify, but hindsight 2020, maybe he's thinking differently today.
This is obviously a first offense for Majors. What kind of sentencing are you expecting here?
So legally, I have to say it's a Class A misdemeanor. You can be punished by up to a year in prison. The way that good time works is max is actually 8 months. But you would be hard-pressed, if also impossible, to find a first-time offender convicted of this charge serving any amount of jail time. I think a year of probation, community service, anger management seems much more appropriate and probably realistic in a case like this. I don't think he'll be in prison, but the fallout from his career and from the court of public opinion, I think, is what the most damage is going to happen here.
Always appreciate your analysis. Brian Buckmeyer, thanks so much.
My pleasure.
Now, that was that. And it had a little bit of BB Foda and Straight Black Pride, the Spirit Mind character. So it had a little bit of the video that I saw and I had wanted to show, but I don't have it. There is, and I think for TMZ has it. I know TMZ has it. TMZ has everything. There's a video showing like that whole situation where he tries to put her back in the vehicle and, try to tell her, look, man, take this girl somewhere. I'm gone. And she keeps following him. She keeps grabbing him, so forth, so on. And he's literally running down the streets of Manhattan away from this woman, and she's running after him. This is all that I'm going to say to Johnathan Majors. When you first met her, if you had a ran like that when you first met her, none of this would have happened. Plain and simple. None of this would have happened. See, that video, I need to find that video and clip it, and just whenever you speak to a group of young men and they're like, hey, what should we do with it? This is what you should do. And just show him running away. That's the proper stance. Just turn into who's the fastest man in the NFL? Turn into Tyreek Hill. Just run away. Run, like you running for a touchdown. I mean, this is now allegedly he injured her in the car, but she's chasing him down the street for 5 blocks. That's it. That's all I have. Now, here's the thing. In the current environment that we have, the reason why this can be damaging is because, as we know, there's always racial tensions in America. But at the same time, we have an issue with the hats destabilizing America. And so anything that exacerbates racial tension takes away focus from the hats. You see what I'm saying? And so whenever you have a situation, especially with a Black man and a European female, that's definitely going to exacerbate racial tension, because let's just be honest, they don't say it publicly, but European males don't like Black men dealing with European females. And a lot of Black men try to cover it up and say that it don't bother them, but Black men don't like to see Black women with European males, which I'm starting to see more and more. But I can say that it's possible that that's a reaction to what they see, which is a lot of Negroes running around with European females. right? So I can't just say, oh man, look at what the black women are doing, as if we wasn't doing it first. I saw an old clip of James Earl Jones, like from way back, talking some Negro stuff. And I was like, man, he's straight cooning out here. And that video might have been before I was born. So wasting time getting to the tit for tat of who's doing more cooning is a waste of time. But my point is, as we know, it's counterproductive. But we no longer tell, I don't believe, not from what I'm seeing, we no longer tell our sons the dangers of horizontal integration, right? And so this is what happens. But again, things like this happening allow for what? A teaching moment. And that's why we're here. So let me get to the next article. Says Johnathan Majors fired by Disney/Marvel Studios after assault guilty verdicts. Actor had played Kang the Conqueror. Says Johnathan Majors is out of the Marvel Studios kingdom. The news comes today in the wake of the Emmy-nominated actor being found guilty of reckless assault and harassment in his domestic violence trial by a 6-person jury. A studio rep confirmed the news about their decision to not move forward with Majors in the MCU. Majors played mega villain He Who Remains, aka Kang the Conqueror, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe's phases 4 through 6. They're up to phase 6 already? Okay. He debuted the character during season 1 of Loki in 2021, then continued on in season 2 this year, as well as in the February movie Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which made more than $476 million worldwide. Majors also had back-to-back hits in Amazon MGM's 3 in March, which grossed over 200. Oh, my bad. Creed 3 in March, which grossed over 275 million. Still haven't had a chance to see that. I wanted to see that. Having stuck with the actor over the months since his arrest on March 25th, WME continued to represent Majors. His long-term agent, Ellen Rasputli, testified briefly in Majors' defense last week as the last witness in the nearly 2-week trial. They had a 2-week trial for a misdemeanor charge. Anyway, He Who Remains was plotted to be a big baddie during the MCU's Phase 5 and 6, with the character getting his own movie, Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, scheduled for May 1st, 2026. That will never happen. The movie recently saw its director, Shang-Chi's Destin Daniel Cretton, exit due to his busy dance card of other Marvel projects. The TBD in regards to whether Marvel keeps the Kang character intact while recasting the part with another actor. So that's that. So yeah. So here's the reality. He had a multi-movie deal playing the bad guy for the MCU, which would have helped raise his stock value untold amount. Simply choosing the wrong woman has probably cost him between $50 and $100 million, give or take. You see what I'm saying? Here's the interesting part, and I want to get to this. There was an audio, and I thought about trying to find it, but I was like, whatever. How can I describe it? There was an audio of him talking. Now, she recorded it, of him talking to her. And she apparently had been out cavorting and getting drunk, acting a fool. And he sat her down to have a discussion about how she represents him. And then he pointed to Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama. And he told her, he's like, I'm a great man. I'm doing things, and I'm grateful. I'm representing my culture, and I'm this and that and so forth. So and see, that recording helped get him convicted. You know why? Because if there's one thing Europeans hate, they hate a confident black man. And what you heard on that tape, to me, it was a confident black man. To them, it was a bombastic, arrogant Negro. Peace to Shafiq Shabazz, right? But this is what he was trying to say. Now, he had the principle right. He had the execution totally wrong. Here's the reality of the situation that we don't talk about. When I was a 5%er, right? We had a term that because there was no leader in the 5%, every person was the national representative, meaning you represented the 5% nation. So when people saw you, they saw the 5%. Whatever you were doing, that was their idea of the 5%. The principle, then you took that principle and applied it to your woman. Where you go, how you dress, how you carry yourself represents me. Now, men of a certain status who have achieved certain things and a certain social status, or you represent certain things within your culture, right? Understand this principle. But the thing is, you have to make the mate selection based partially on the principle. You can't impose the principle on the person, the wrong mate. You see what I'm saying? This is why, right, wrong, or indifferent, this is why men in power have a wife and a mistress. The wife is their representative. He and she are often in business together. The better she represents him, the more he can achieve, the more she benefits. They work together hand in hand. When people see a man and he has a woman that's showing class, dignity, self-respect, that reflects on a man, and other men say, man, he found him a good woman and he must be treating her right because she's acting right. She's doing the right thing. She's well-spoken. She's intelligent. She's not out here dressed like a slow. My man is on it. Majors wanted to take somebody out. I don't know where he met her. My understanding, she was working on the film. I don't know what he's looking at. But again, if you grew up in an integrated environment, hey, whatever. But if he understood, which he should have, because by that time he's working on a Marvel movie. I think he met her on the movie. If you understand, and he at some point he understood, or else they wouldn't have had this conversation, the level that you're at, or the level that you're going, or the level that you are aspiring, right? If you understand this, then you understand already before you have that conversation. When she showed that behavior, I got to get rid of this woman. She cannot represent me out here. If you understand that Chadwick Boseman has passed on to the great beyond, and that in essence, in a very real way, you're taking his place and are going to be representative of, quote unquote, the culture, as they like to say, then you already should be making the move to find you a black woman that could represent you, so that when you go out here, like, what's the brother that directed the Black Panther? I can't think of the brother's name. Y'all, somebody help me out in the comments. But when, like, that brother goes out, that brother, he got a black woman. When he makes his movie, he puts certain pro-black stuff in the movie that subliminally, that sometimes the people that don't need to see it can't see it. And he fights to try to keep some type of knowledge in it. I'm not saying he's no revolutionary brother, but I'm saying he at least is some way in tune with his culture. Ryan Coogler, thank you, brother. And he's trying to give the people something of value in the entertainment. But he's not trying to do it with Becky because he's not a fool. But again, he's from Oakland. And so I'm sure he grew up hearing stories about the Panthers and stuff. So he had a certain foundation. But for the black man, who, whether you are low status or high status, if you have aspirations to be of high status, you have to understand the science of mate selection, because we see the results. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it's really hilarious when you think about it. You're sitting here trying to turn Becky into Rashida. When you could just go to HBC, you would find 10 Rashidas. Get 5 of them and figure out which one's the wife out of them 5. Like, apparently that thought doesn't even occur to brothers. I don't understand. Like, if it's me, let me just be completely honest. I'm reaching a certain status. I'm in Hollywood and this and that. Man, I'm just going up to Howard. I'm going up to the HBCUs. You can find me a sister that took economics, one took finance, one is taking law. I may not deal with all of them, but I may keep them all around me, keep them in my circle, and build my team. Because being completely honest, one thing about sisters, if they're of any quality, now, if you're going to go get a sister with, her whole body tattooed, and come on now. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I ain't talking about them. I'm not talking about sexy red now. I'm talking about, black women, not negresses. One thing about those type of black women, they're loyal and they want to see you succeed. Like, if they see potential in you and they see you succeeding, they want to see you keep succeeding. That's how black women are. Now, somebody's going to come and tell me sisters are no longer like that. And again, you have to vet and see who you're dealing with. Even if it's not even on a sexual level, you have to be sure who you have in your circle. One, you should always keep sisters in your circle, because they always going to tell you the truth, even if you don't want to hear it, being completely honest. In fact, more than likely, when you don't want to hear it is when they're going to tell you the truth. Okay? just being completely honest. You're just going to be like, look, I already know that, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for informing me of that, which I know already. I appreciate you. Right? But that's part of the give and take of the relationship. But again, for the black man, we have to get back to use a 5% term, sciencing up mate selection. I didn't even watch the video, but I saw a title. A brother was like, focus on the good women in your life. And I just laughed. I was like, seems like simple advice. You know what I'm saying? But it's a lot of brothers out here they be struggling mightily with that thing. And there are just certain things that I'm just being completely honest. And I ain't trying to be disrespectful. But then, like, there's certain signs that say that if you're a man of discernment, certain signs that say entertainment, there's certain signs that say good sister, and there's certain signs that say wife. And you need to be able to read those signs to a certain degree, even if you have to investigate further. But there are some women that should be eliminated from certain aspects of your life from jump. I'm just being completely honest. You're walking down the street, you meet Sexy Red, you keep walking. I'm just saying. You're walking down the street, you meet Cardi B. I don't know if y'all seen Cardi B without makeup. You just keep walking. You just keep walking. So now, but here's what happens. We, when I say we, a lot of black men don't look at white women as a threat the way we like, yeah, I would never mess with Cardi B. I would never mess with, whoever. And the brother said, remember the conversation we had about the dark-skinned sister on IG with Yurugu? Man, brother, don't even remember. Come on, man. Come on, man. Don't even, man. Anyway, if he talking about said something about anyway, this brother made me take a tangent, but I'm gonna just go there for a minute. I know a lot of chocolate sisters don't get any love, and you get made fun of in the community, and you have a lot of scars from your childhood and things like that. But I'm just gonna say this. Please stop laying up with Yurugu. I know my please ain't gonna change nothing. I'm just saying, this is what I'm gonna say to black people. If you have been hurt by black people because you're dark skinned and things like that, just surround yourself. Come amongst black people who love blackness. I know brothers who would take care of you right now. That's all I'm saying. That's my plea on that. Brother, you got ripped off, just made me just have a flashback. Oh, man. Straight black pride of Brother Marcus. And so, back to my original point. Mate selection, what stage of life you're at, is key. And one of the things I remember, a brother asked me, a young brother asked me a question. This is a couple of years ago, and we were talking about mate selection, and he said, "Man, how you know when you found a wife?" And I said, "Before you can find your wife, you have to make sure you find yourself." And he looked at me and was like, you know how you drop a jewel on somebody and they just look like, yo. And here's what I meant by that. It's easier when you have certain principles that you live by and certain things that you stand for and certain things you believe in. Those things will help shape what you're looking for in a woman. But if you don't have no principles or anything you stand by, anything you believe in, then any woman qualifies, or at least you think any woman qualifies. And then when the woman get out of pocket, you had nothing to vet her, no criterion for her to meet, and nothing to vet her with, and thus this is how you end up. Or you don't apply the criterion beforehand before you ever get into the relationship, and then you end up with Johnathan Majors throwing away $50-100 million. And he's not the first person. He's not the first actor. He's not the first athlete to have a situation like this and lose out on money. What's crazy is He's not even the first MCU person. There's other people in the MCU right now who got a past of smacking up women and doing stuff way worse than what he's accused of. She claims that he hurt her in the car while she's still chasing him. I guess they're going to pass that to adrenaline. Not while she got passed out drunk and stumbled all over the place and fell out in the walk-in closet. That ain't where it happened. Right? So that, I mean, but again, if you have a criterion for mate selection, you can at least lessen, because nothing's guaranteed nowadays, because we live in a world where black men have been taught, we live in a world where women in general have been taught to hate men. We live in an anti-male world. And in Hollywood, it's even more anti-male. If you really been like looking at Hollywood stuff and the type of content they're putting out, everything is anti-male. It's not even anti-black male. It's just anti-male, period. You see what I'm saying? So that's the environment we're in off jump. And as far as entertainment, and he's in the entertainment arena, so he's in the midst of it. And sometimes when you miss in the midst of it, you won't see the forest for the trees. You see what I'm saying? Brother, you got ripped off, said you disagree. Some brothers need a sister that's going to challenge him to do better and be better. He has to want better for himself, and that does require him to. That's what I said. I said first you got to find yourself. So I don't think we disagree unless I'm misunderstanding your comment. So with that aspect of that, it was another thing I wanted to get back to for those who, because we were like, hey, all you gotta do is study history. That's some people don't study history, so we gotta go a little bit into the history. So actually, this ain't history. This is right now. This, I just want y'all to take a look at this picture. This is the same person. This is them fake crying. This is them looking like, yeah, see how easy I can turn on. This was a trend 2 years ago. I didn't realize it was 2 years ago. I thought it was like last year. White women are now fake crying for this TikTok trend. Says a recent TikTok trend where white women fake cries incurring widespread condemnation online. Earlier this month, a number of white women began posting videos of themselves pretending to cry, only to suddenly stop and smile. And though they initially saw it as an acting challenge of sorts, the trend has since kicked off a larger discussion about white women's historic weaponization of their victimhood against Black people. From criticism about its tone-deaf nature to posts about Emmett Till's murder, all of the crying was rightfully panned for its complete disregard for the innumerable Black people who've been subject to violence as a result of these crocodile tears, quote unquote. White women have historically used their tears and their false victimhood to accuse and vilify people of color. No, not people of color, Black people, particularly those from the Black community. The trend is showing the ability to falsify emotions and manipulate others. This has a dangerous history, right? Again, you're an acting coach. Oh, I just thought about it. He's an actor. She's in Hollywood doing whatever she's doing. Bruh. The jokes write themselves. So what I want to do is quick. I wanted to play this video of the trend that they were showing. I found this from a couple of different sources, chopped it up and put it together. I just want y'all to see this. It's so eerie. It's really kind of scary because it's like some psychotic behavior. So we just watch this. I think it's 2 minutes long or something like that. Well, let's watch this clip and then we'll discuss it.
Dry face. That's how we cry.
And it felt great to be a liar. Turn it off. Turn it off. Turn it off. Turn it off.
That's what you're dealing with when you deal with a European female. A master actress and manipulator. So for those brothers that didn't know, that may come across this video, you're not part of my usual audience, and you stumble upon this, that's what you're dealing with. Deception is in their nature, and that's the evidence right there. That was a TikTok trend. That was jokes and laughs. Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, telling lies, stealing, and mastering the original man. Right? Telling lies, causing them to fight and kill one another. I mean, it's a reason to some of our people in our past try to point these things out. You got to understand what you're dealing with. These are the same women who generations ago could say that somebody did something with them and a whole black town get burnt down. You got to understand the nature of the threat. So anybody confused about, they said she took the stand 4 times or whatever she did. Man, then you couldn't, I don't care what she said. I would never believe it. Why? Because I seen this. And I have the history, which we're going to go into. But, because I didn't realize how far I had gotten, Spirit Mind Character Soul says, deception is a key tool used to preserve their existence. And not only that, deception is a key tool in warfare. Right? There's a reason why they send women to spy. Greetings to Brother Desaline. Glad to see you. But before I continue, I'm going to take a moment. 2 things. One, if anybody there, you have a black business or black service, and you would like to sponsor a show or to be promoted across our social media, including Instagram, Threads, YouTube, or OTWTube, we will do that for you. You can do it per post, per show, or a monthly flat rate. Help us help you with your business and circulate the black dollar. That's number one. That's what we're going to do for 2024. But we've already started, as you saw earlier in the show. Two, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to need y'all help to continue this show in 2024. Just you can email me, Sister Nessa, or they can email me at dc.radical1_radical_1 at protonmail.com, and we can discuss those rates there. But they are on the low end of the standard rates that apply based upon the number of people that you can expect to reach. So realistically, the best price is to get the all-in-one package, and then you'll get cross-platform advertisement built in, and it's just a flat fee. You pay the flat fee up front. It covers the month, and it'll guarantee one YouTube video, a couple of a month's worth of Instagram posts, so forth, so on. So that's what we're going to do. Until those come in, what I'm going to make a deal with you all. Here's the deal that I'm offering. I was looking at the number of posts that I make, videos and everything. And no, I'm not consistent. I'm just being completely honest. Because occasionally I give you all what I believe is such a great show that's like a free lecture. Right? Like the show dealing with Black leadership, that was like a free lecture. Let's be honest. So here's my deal for you all. Generally speaking, it costs me, as far as like to maintain the show, for software, for storage, for and a couple of other things dealing with like helping promote the show, tech and stuff like that. It costs me approximately between $75 and $100 a month. Right. Now, generally, I was eating about half that cost. Brother, you got ripped off. I was paying the other half of the cost. Here's my deal. I will guarantee you all minimum 4 uploads a month here on YouTube. You, my beautiful audience. If you pick up the other $25, $30 of the cost of running the show. And it's simple. If I do not give you all your 4 minimum uploads a month, you do not give me the money. Right? So let's say, like, for this month, let's say you're like, all right, cool. He gave me a live stream, gave me 3-4 videos. Be sure to go watch those videos, because we got 2 short form videos that we had early in the week. They're only 10-12 minutes long. You can watch those real quick. You got this live stream. You got another video tomorrow that's 40 minutes long. And after I get off here, I'm going to record another video to upload for you this week. Think of it as my pre-Kwanzaa sale. Right? But I'm not going to lie. I need your help just so it makes it solvent, so it's worth my while to continue to do this, because as many hoops as YouTube has me going through, it doesn't appear like that monetization thing is going to happen. I could be wrong, but it's not looking good. But like things like, things like the music service. Here's what I found out. Speaking of music, here's what I found out about the music. When I was using the other music service, it clears the music for me, right? But what they didn't tell me is, now when I read it, I'm sure when I read it, it says, okay, the music that you use while you have your active subscription, you can download and use it, and it's yours. But when it's over, then you can't use it. But what you have already, you can use, but you can't use it anymore. Apparently, that's wrong, or they changed, or I don't know what happened. So I can't use that music anymore without getting a copyright. I don't normally care, but it would just be better if I didn't have to jump through these YouTube hoops. So that's my proposal to you all. Y'all help me out with that as far as the cost of maintaining the channel, and I'll upload more content. Hopefully the channel grows, and maybe it eventually make it YouTube's wow that they give me the low level monetization, which I'm not even able to apply for until, well, it's not that long now, maybe like 3 weeks from now. And brother, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. You said I'm so here's the thing. On Instagram, I'm no longer shadow banned. They just tell me. They just make an announcement. They say, hey, you're banned from, then they got all this extra stuff now. You're banned from all this stuff for 90 days. And they just it's become a rolling 90 days thing. So it's kind of funny at this point. The YouTube thing, they just, I don't know. According to YouTube, I'm a habitual line stepper. You remember Dave Chappelle's show? Who was that? Was that Eddie Murphy's brother that said that? According to YouTube, I'm a habitual line stepper. They always give me all types of strikes and everything. I'm always doing something wrong. It's to the point this is how bad it was. When I made the post asking y'all whether or not I should do the show, as soon as I put it up, it sent me an email. It said, hey, you can't do XYZ, you don't have access to these tools and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I put up a poll, like what is happening? So I cleared that hurdle, brother. You got ripped off. I'm straight with that. But this how it is. So while I'm here, if y'all can help me out with that, I appreciate you. Anyone that agrees, the Cash App is going to come across the screen, $ DC Radical 1. Anything you say, y'all know I greatly appreciate it, because y'all know I barely ever ask y'all for anything. And okay, brother, I see you. All right, thank you, I appreciate that. And so that's the deal. So if y'all agree in general with the deal, just put here's funny. I'm gonna make it funny for y'all. If you agree that's a solid deal, and y'all want to take that deal, just put a $ in the chat. So while y'all doing that, we'll get back to the history. Now that I'm finished with my commercial, we'll get back to the history that we were talking about, these European females. All right. So it says, from Emmett Till to Purvis Payne, Black men in America are still killed for crimes they didn't commit. This from the Innocence Project from 3 years ago. Now, all of us, we're familiar with Emmett Till. We know this story. But apparently there's people that don't know any better. So, it says this was updated August 5th. On July 30th, Shelby County District Attorney Amy Wyrick announced that her office is opposing DNA testing of evidence in Purvis Payne's case. Wyrick also said the evidence presented to Payne's legal team in 2019, previously referred to in this article as hidden evidence, is actually from another case and was shown to Payne's team in error. The article is updated to reflect this new information. Emmett Till, a young black boy in Mississippi, turned 14 on July 25th, 1955. Almost exactly 1 month later, he was brutally murdered after being accused of sexually harassing Carolyn Bryant, a white woman, in a grocery store. Till would have turned 79 today, which means, because this was 3 years ago, he would be 82 today, had he not been killed. The two white men accused of his murder were later found not guilty by an all-white, all-male jury. 4 months after the trial, which took place in a segregated courtroom, the two men admitted to kidnapping and murdering Till in an interview with Look magazine. Because they had already been acquitted, they could not be tried again. Neither ever served time for Till's murder. 6 decades later, Carolyn Bryant, admitted that she had lied and that the parts of her accusation considered most incendiary at the time, that Till had grabbed her and made verbal and physical advances on her, were untrue. Bryant has never faced any legal consequences for her accusations against Till. The FBI opened a re-investigation into his murder 3 years ago. Till's story of injustice might have been lost to history if his mother, Mamie Till Mobley, hadn't insisted that the world take notice of her son. When Till's body was found in the Tallahatchie River days after the teen had been abducted from his great-uncle's house, it was unrecognizable. His great-uncle was only able to identify his body, disfigured from being beaten, shredded with barbed wire, shot, and thrown in a river, by his father's initialed ring, which he still had on his finger. "Let the people see what they did to my boy," Till Mobley said when she saw her son's body. She insisted on an open casket for his funeral, that the public would have to contend with the heinous crime carried out against her son and so many other Black Americans throughout history. More than 4,700 people were lynched in the United States between 1882 and 1968, and that's a low estimate, according to the NAACP. The vast majority were Black, while many of the white victims of lynching were killed for helping Black people. Though Till's story has not been forgotten, such racism and inequality persists today and contributes to the injustice in the legal system and beyond. From the Scottsboro boys who were wrongly convicted of raping 2 white women, to the exonerated 5, to Christopher Cooper, the man a white woman falsely told police had threatened her life in May, Black men in America have continued to be perceived as dangerous, violent, and hypersexual. The harmful and racist stereotypes of Black men as predators has contributed to Black men being incarcerated at higher rates for wrongful conviction. We're going to stop there. Again, if you don't understand where you end up with Johnathan Majors. And see, Sydney G says, what if your audience is broke? Hey, it is what it is. Okay, thank you, brother Kevin. Because I didn't even look. I appreciate that. So, for those who may not know, That's your history right there. And before I go, I want to show that clip again of those females, because I wanted an indelible mark in the minds of whoever watches this. The nature of the threat. And to remember how dangerous these women are. Because to be honest, as men, you don't think of it as a threat. Right? You don't really think of women as a threat. But, we're reminded once again that this is what can happen. So, I think this is the first time I ever did this. We're going to run that back so we can watch these psychos again. Here we go.
Slowly make a cry face. That's how we cry.
And it felt great to be a liar. Turn it off. Turn it off. Turn it off. Turn it off.
Again, brothers, that's what you're dealing with. That's the nature of the threat. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It really, when I first looked at this, and I'm making a clip and I watched it, I was like, yo, this is scary. Anybody who can flip the script that quick and that good at it, and you're not paid professionally to do this is just who you are. That's scary. If it's not scary, it should be scary. Now, here's one of the dangers. We talked about the dangers of, the racial aspect of it, which speaks for itself. Another danger is one of the reasons that this gets a lot of press. The Johnny Depp thing. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard thing. It was another one, but I can't remember what it is. But what it is doing is, what these incidents do is they cause further division between men and women than already exists in the society. Because women see this as a victory for believe all women. And men see this as you can't trust none of these women. And so what we have to understand is that even though we always, because we have to, look at the racial dynamic of things, which here is just, ginormous, it's in your face. We also have to look at the fact that the society is being manipulated for there to be a divide between men and women, not just with black men and black women. It started with us. But remember, I've done shows on feminism. Feminism comes from the hats, right? The hip hop, which demeans women and brings all this vulgarity, is funded by the hats. All of these different things which are helping to divide men and women, the media, the social media, and so forth and so on, comes from the hats. Here's what people don't think about. Black people, as I've said before in another show, are the canary in the coal mine. The things that happen to us eventually get transformed to the greater society, because it's obvious that the society is being destroyed, not from the outside in. There is an invading army now coming across the border, but it's being destroyed from the inside out. It's being destroyed through the media. It's being destroyed economically because of the different ridiculous things that are happening economically in the world. It's being destroyed because of who's in charge of the Federal Reserve. It's being destroyed by pharmaceutical industry. It's being destroyed by big agri and the food, and so forth and so on. And here's the thing. Unless we're leading, we unfortunately have somewhat of a vested interest in this society, at least not collapsing around us while we're still here. Right? So that's why things like this are major, because it's just another log on the fire to burn down America. But we don't look at it that way. But again, it's one thing I realized. There's macro thinking and micro thinking. And there are people who are naturally macro thinkers and people that are naturally micro thinkers. And neither one is bad, because actually, if they work together, then you get a comprehensive look at things. When you don't have people working together, a macro thinker can appear as bird brain and be as bird brained as anyone. Greetings to Black first, second, and third, because you'll be looking at the bigger picture and the details will elude you and you can't get anything accomplished. Well, a micro thinker can run into trouble because they're looking at all the details and the big picture just eludes them. They can't see it. The old forest for the trees thing. So, like, one aspect when I was talking about mate selection, one important aspect is that it's good for there to be a couple where one person's the macro thinker and one's a micro thinker. Generally, that's the man is the macro and the woman is the micro. But it's not always the case. But it's good to have that dynamic and that balance, because even though it's going to cause conflict because you're seeing two different things, the reality is that balance, when you actually come together and communicate properly, will allow you to see all aspects of the situation and be able to prepare for the things that you see. And then be able to go forward with a collective vision to accomplish the goal. It's very hard as a macro thinker to not have a micro thinker around. is difficult. This stuff you just gonna miss. You're gonna blunder your way through stuff because it's obvious stuff that you should think about, but you're not thinking about because you think about macro things. You sit there and say, so you're not thinking about the micro stuff. You just, and then somebody's like, hey, did you do XYZ? You're like, oh no, I forgot. I mean, there's a sister that I know that I depend on her for micro stuff. For the organization. You wouldn't be able to accomplish anything without her. Just being completely honest. I don't know if she's listening or not. She listening, she know who she is. But we just wouldn't be able to do it. Because the small stuff I just miss. Sometimes doesn't even cross my mind. And you were like, hey, did you XYZ? You were like, oh, what? No. Yeah, right. Nah, you forget that. Never crossed my mind. So, again, that's another aspect of mate selection. But again, you have to examine yourself to see where do I fit on that scale of macro and micro thinking. Okay, now I got to go out and find me somebody else to do the other part. And there's going to be a natural tension because you see the world differently. But one thing we have to understand when we're in relationships is just because you see the world differently, you have to have the capacity to communicate the vision that you have so that the other person can at least have some understanding that you're at least seeing the world, right? That you're not blind out here. Because many times we argue because we think, how's this person not see this? Well, the person don't see it because they see the world different. And so that's a natural tension that you're going to have. But once you learn to communicate, then, like I said, you can move forward with both your collective vision, allowing you to see 360. Right? So that's another aspect of it. That's something that I think we all have to work on. Communication is something we all have to work on. People have when you have different communication styles, man, you might as well be speaking two different languages. And sometimes you have to, especially as a man, you have to slow down. And sometimes you have to listen twice. Because women are filtering what you say through their emotions. You're filtering what she says through logic. But since she's filtering what you say through emotion, sometimes what she's saying isn't logical. So then you have to process it to see, okay, let me try to at least see what she's feeling here and why she's expressing this, because it doesn't make any sense. And later on, if it's a good woman, sometimes she'll just come back and tell you, yeah, what I was talking about didn't make no sense. But I felt like you XYZ, and you be like, why? How'd you do that? Well, because you did so and so, and you like, oh, I don't see how that happened, but okay, now I know. Right? These are the things that have to take place. But again, before any of this happens, you have to do the mate selection and the vetting in order to even get to the process of the communication. And then when you do all that, you won't find yourself asking Becky to be Coretta Scott King, Betty Shabazz. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to have these ridiculous conversations. And so you end up with, I'm not gonna lie, at least aesthetically, Megan Good's a good rebound. You can do worse. However, I just remembered that Megan Good was just married to a preacher, and that didn't work. So, yeah, good luck to the brother. Now, I might ask the sister something real quick before I close out. What is how can I put it? Can a man be forgiven for being with Becky? Can he ever come back? Y'all tell me. I don't, because I'm gonna be honest. I can forgive a sister to a degree, but like if it's a sister I'm interested in and she tell me that, man, you talk about putting the brakes on. Like talking about like putting the brakes on and like flipping your car over, putting the brakes on. You know what I'm saying? Like that is hard on a personal level. That's hard to look past. But I'm not asking on a personal level. I'm asking y'all in a general sense. Can, if you see a black man or you know a black man and he was over there, you know, getting lost in the caves and hillsides of Europe, and then he wakes up for whatever reason, do y'all think he's salvageable? Yeah, just put a Y or an N in the chat and y'all let me know. And I asked the brothers this. I'm trying to think of a celebrity. I can't think of no celebrity. But let's just throw Serena Williams out there. Yeah, I know y'all gonna say no. Cause her, that's why I want to throw her out there, because she don't look like she used to. But like Eve or any sister, if she goes to the caves and hillsides of Europe and she wants to come back, y'all let me know. Is that type of woman redeemable? The brothers, y'all put a Y or N in the chat. Sister Farnessa says, I don't think they should be allowed back. They've already brought enough from them to us. Oh, okay. Like I don't have a I don't feel some type of way either way. For me, it would be a case by case basis. Because some people, while they over there in the caves, ain't no coming back. You got ripped off. Are you asking me has Eve gone to the cave? Yeah. If you asking me, yeah, she was some rich, probably with a hat, like some dude that got like mega bread, from my understanding. I don't know his name. I don't know who he is. He like that type of money. So some people have so much money that they don't have any notoriety. You know what I'm saying? I think she married somebody like that. I have no idea where they met, how they met. I don't know the story at all. I just remember somebody told me, yeah, he married some white man. I was like, what? You sure? And they're like, yeah, you ain't know. And I'm like, no. So I don't see no Y's or N's. So I'm assuming y'all just KW Don said no, especially if they have spawned a mulatto. We'll see. I'm just saying. Depends on if she has. Okay, let's see. It depends on if she has a mixed child. If she does, that's a no. Spirit Mind Character Soul said it depends on his understanding of the totality of his era and his demonstration of overstanding. For some men, no. For others, it depends. We got a yes with qualified reasoning. I see a lot of no's. I say a lot of people like no, sir. And again, this is not a would you date this person or that type of thing. This is should this person be allowed back into the community if they have come to the realization that they made a demonstrable error in judgment, and they realize the error of their ways. So it's just a question I want to throw out there, because I mean we got a lot of people that's lost, and more than likely we're going to come across people who may want to come into the knowledge, or may this may spark something in them. This incident may spark something in them, or I mean, who knows? So that's why I wanted to ask. Before I get out of here, first of all, I greatly thank everybody who donated. I appreciate you all. Specifically, of course, brother, you got ripped off. Always represents. Appreciate brother Kevin. And trying to see everybody, but it's not doing what I want it to do. Spirit, mind, character, soul. Appreciate you. I see you here. And of course, my brother Desaline. Appreciate you. And so, again, I thank you all. Don't forget, if you haven't listened to the earlier Radical Reports, there was one on Jason Roger Pope, aka DJ Kid. He played guilty, and he played guilty a while ago. I didn't know. Somebody let me know in the comments, and so I did that video to let you all know. Also, I did one on the Senate staffer who, oh my god, who homosexual Senate staffer that was engaging in homosexual activities and filming it in the Hart Senate building. And tomorrow we will have one on tomorrow at 8:00. It's going to premiere at 8:00, and that's going to be dealing with the Pope's moving the Catholic Church toward open acceptance of homosexuality. So be sure to check that out tomorrow at 8:00, and also to check the old ones. Brother, you got ripped off says, just remember, sisters, these males now have sexual perversion that Becky created. Brothers, I say the same to you about rebound women. I mean, you know what, brother, and real quick, that's another thing. Yeah, brother. That's another thing. We don't really think about this, but women that you interact with, this is in general, have different desires and are stimulated by different things based upon who they've been with, and men too. So if someone deals with somebody that's dealt with a European, don't be surprised if they have some type of thing that they like that you're gonna be surprised by and is gonna find kind of, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So that's just something that you have to deal with if you do that on a personal level. There are going to be some habits from Europe that they're going to bring back to our community. So that's another thing to think about. And brother, you got ripped off said, maybe I should start polling again for some programs or radical reports. Well, here's the thing. I actually have to do it. I have to do it. Maybe I'll do it later tonight. I have an Ask DC episode that I have to do. A sister asked me to do an Ask DC episode on, I can't even remember, but there was a bill passed to stop the president of the United States from leaving NATO. So I'm gonna do an Ask DC segment on that. It got more in depth than I initially wanted it to, so I'm trying to cut it back so it's because I went down the rabbit hole. I'm not gonna lie, start going into NATO and researching that, and I went down the rabbit hole. So, to that sister, if she's listening, I'm gonna try to get that out this week. And I'll just send her a message when that's up, because I thank her for asking that. Because when I looked at it, I was like, okay, this is she's paying attention to the world. And this is an excellent question. And it's definitely worth discussing because it deals with geopolitics, it deals with politics in America, it deals with foreign policy, and it ultimately deals with what can happen in the future as far as wars and things. And speaking of wars, lastly, have Has anyone seen this movie that Obama helped produce? I don't have Netflix, so I haven't seen it. But if you've seen it, let me know if it's worth checking out, and I'll try to. I know Netflix cracking down on sharing passwords or whatever. So I don't know. Maybe I will. Let me know if it's worth paying for a month, and if it's not, I'll get somebody else's Netflix and watch it or whatever. Brother Dessalines, you say the movie's trash? It's not a good movie. Turquoise Purple says, I've seen it. It was boring. Okay. Because I wanted to see if there was any subliminal or predictive programming in it. That's what I wanted to see. So, yeah, brother said, let me reiterate, it was trash. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for reiterating that, brother. I appreciate that. So, with that, I thank you all for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow me, of course. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention this. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter again. I've got one of my Twitter accounts back. Brother Dessalines says there's definitely subliminal and predictive programming in it. Okay. Okay. But again, you can follow me on Instagram at dc.radical1, on Twitter at dcradical_ONE, on OTW2, which is Black-owned platform, at dcradical1, Cashapp, which some of you all have already hit, and I appreciate it, $ dcradical1. Of course, this is the YouTube, capital D, small c, radical1, and email me at dc.radical_1 at protonmail.com if you have show suggestions or you would like to sponsor a show and get promo on our other social media sites. Or if you have seen some information in the news and you want to just pass it on, because I can't remember who it is, but there's a brother that they always send me information. They have some good information. They always email me and just hit me up with stuff. And I need to find out who that is. I need to thank you personally, because just because I don't respond don't mean I don't see it, and doesn't mean I don't check it out. So with that, I thank you, brothers and sisters. Don't forget to check out tomorrow night's video. With that, I say Abibi Fodie and straight black pride.